we can start the webinar. I just want to check with Jarno, screen and sound check, okay?
Yes, all good, Archie.
Great stuff. Let's kick off, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. I'm sure the cold has hit most of the areas by now, so hopefully you're sitting inside next to a nice heater. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So there is a public chat section that you would be able to type questions during the presentation as well as the demo. You guys are welcome to ask questions, and we're actually two presenters today, so we'll be able to field those questions while we're busy. I also just want to draw your attention to the handouts section. What I've done is I've actually uploaded a PDF document of this presentation that you can download and share with everybody. We're also going to be recording this session, so I'm going to be posting that onto our YouTube channel, so you guys can share that far and wide if you want. So let's kick off. So today I'm very excited to talk to you guys about ThoughtSpot. We see ourselves as the search and AI-driven analytics company, and our mission is to help make the world more fact-driven by making analytics as easy as your favorite app. So I just want to set the scene a little bit around why are we doing this. So B2IT is a multi-product BI service provider, and we've always looked for the best fit for our customers. Both Qlik and ThoughtSpot are leaders in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and although there are some overlap in capabilities, the two platforms have very different focuses. Qlik is an end-to-end BI stack and has always been very strong in the pre-built and pixel-perfect dashboard field. Qlik also continues to develop and acquire automatic insights and conversational analytic capabilities, and this is where there are some overlaps, we feel. ThoughtSpot, on the other hand, is a very focused company, where other vendors are bolting on conversational analytics onto their platforms. ThoughtSpot has made it their entire focus. Google for your business data, and that's a term you guys are going to hear quite a few times this afternoon. Where we see the opportunity here, and this is why we're talking to the Qlik community, is that by adding ThoughtSpot to your Qlik environment, you're adding the very best in class when it comes to search and AI-driven analytics. What makes the deal even sweeter is ThoughtSpot licensed model, which is not a pay-per-user model. This means you can expose all your data to all your users. That is, of course, Qlik and non-Qlik data, but for this afternoon's purpose, we're going to be focusing on Qlik data. So what is big data really? It's a problem that everyone faces today. Now, if you look at this slide, this is a quote that was done in 2013 by a professor in psychology and behavioral economics. He's obviously a very insightful man. I don't feel that it's entirely true anymore today, and this is what we're going to try and show you this afternoon. Our reliance on data teams has created a massive bottleneck. With only about 1.5 million data experts and over 1 billion knowledge workers, building reports has become on average taking about 5 days. It's obvious why so many of us are left waiting for these reports. It creates a vicious cycle. So what tends to happen? You give up. You might use what you've got, but it's not worth waiting in line for more. We call this the curiosity tax. Curiosity is the currency of innovation in business. And here we have a massive tax that no one wants to pay. So why does it take so long to get these answers? Because the dashboard creation pipeline is slow and it's complicated. We all know this. Data is scattered all around the organization. It's in different tables, different data sources, which your data teams need to extract. They put it through an ETL process just to simplify this data model. In order to get around the performance issues, you need to segment data into data marts and then summarize the data even further into cubes and views. Actionable insights happen at the granular level, but because that data is growing and moving faster than ever, these insights have become elusive for even the best analysts out there, which makes getting the right insights to the right person at the right time almost impossible. Today's dashboards often give you a snapshot of today, but by tomorrow it's obsolete. So this is where we feel there's a huge opportunity for AI and the human scale limitations. So how do we think ThoughtSpot can help? Analytics should be as easy as your favorite app. Anyone should be able to get answers to their data questions right when they need them. And we've taken our inspiration from the best of the consumer internet. Google, get the answer to your question in seconds. I mean, everyone's used these apps, so I'm not, they shouldn't be unfamiliar to you. If you look at YouTube, it's got AI built in and it learns your behavior to automatically recommend content that may resonate best with you. Uber, where there's a very individual experience where they route insights immediately to the right person at the right time. So who's ThoughtSpot? Let me give you a little bit of an overview around our company. ThoughtSpot was founded in 2012 by a team of engineers who previously worked for Google, Oracle, Microsoft, Yahoo, and other Silicon Valley companies. Two disruptive technology innovations to the world of analytics that led us to be named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant last year, making us the fastest ever vendor to reach the leader quadrant and the first ever vendor to get there in 6 years. Firstly, they've built an entirely new breed of search engine designed from the ground up for analytics. Anyone can ask data questions and get answers in seconds. Secondly, we've led the industry with an introduction of an AI-driven insights engine that they call Spot IQ that automatically provides you with relevant data questions you might not have thought to ask. I just want to draw your attention to the growth rate there, which since 2017 has been 100% year on year with a $100 million run rate. So how does it work? ThoughtSpot provides value in 3 unique ways. Firstly, it's simple. We empower everyone in your organization to make smart decisions with easy access to data. Secondly, it's smart. The AI asks questions of the data to detect anomalies, identify root causes, and uncover opportunities that users might never have thought to ask. And lastly, it's fast. We help you uncover granular insights from billions of rows in seconds. Now, when it comes to analytics, if you're not fast, you're dead. ThoughtSpot delivers a consumer experience which means answers in seconds. All this happened using your own business terminology, which is learned by ThoughtSpot on the fly. Again, Google for your data. ThoughtSpot lets you drill anywhere across related dimensions, so you don't need to spend time predefining drill paths, understanding the data, or model the data further. It's also an integrated platform with enterprise governance and security at a granular security level, column, row, or even cell level, so you can control who's allowed to see the data, right up to the search suggestions. Very similar to a Google experience. We also engage differently. We bring business and technical teams together. Unlike the last generation of analytics that sold around IT and they created shadow BI all over the organization, we tackle big strategic challenges and create aligned solutions. This slide gives you an example of how we successfully addressed 2 strategic business champions and aligned their objectives. ThoughtSpot addressed the needs of both teams with search-driven approach to analytics that could address both human and enterprise scale. Not only did Gartner name ThoughtSpot a leader, but they recently came out and has said that search and AI are the future of analytics with this quote. I'm now going to jump into a solution demo, and I want to just quickly introduce my colleague Jarno Loubser, who's on the WebEx with us. Jarno has got many years of data and BI experience. Jarno is going to do a solution demo for us. He's just going to run through a few slides now. So Jarno, over to you.
Thank you for that, Archie. Just give me an indication that you can hear me fine.
100%, you are good to go, Jarno.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for joining. As Archie said, I've got many years of background specifically in the Qlik space. I think it's about 13 years this year, and for the last 2 years or so, also in the ThoughtSpot space. So I'm hoping to give you a bit of a feel this afternoon for obviously how ThoughtSpot works and thinks and operates and the value that can bring, but also how Qlik and ThoughtSpot can work together for you. So with the first slide up there, this is a picture all of us in the Qlik world knows very well. And this is the way the Qlik data flow works and how we've been used to it. So on the left-hand side, we've got anything from on-premise data sources to cloud data sources to some special data sources requiring certain connectors and so forth. And what we've been doing is to extract this data into some kind of staging area. At B2IT, we call it our raw layer. You might have different terminology, but it's really a staging database where we copy the data out of our transactional systems. After that, we've got a data cleansing, data mapping, business rules that we apply, etc. We've got that process, and from that we create what we call our functional layer, which is also where we achieve reuse of our business terms and business data. And of course, lastly, we expose those functional QVDs, in our case, we expose to either Qlik View and or Qlik Sense. Archie, you can go to the next one, please. Now, of course, Qlik has, in the last couple of years, added some new data components around change data capture, real-time data cataloging. So they've added some nice tools in that area that changes that picture a little bit in some cases, but it's not really there where we want to focus today. Next one, please. Because what we do is, once the data is available in Qlik View and Qlik Sense, as per the normal way that you would like to function, of course, that data is then available in terms of dashboards, in terms of analytical reports, etc. We are able to take that same data with only a couple of lines of extra code that I'll show you a little bit later, and make that data available for ThoughtSpot in ThoughtSpot, allowing us to achieve the search and AI experience on top of our data. I'm now going to start sharing my screen as I'm going into a product demo. So if you'll just allow us a minute or so to get that done, I will be back with you in just a minute.
I'm just going to unshare my screen quickly. There we go, Jarno. You are in control. You can take over the screen. You guys are welcome to, as I said in the beginning, put your questions into the chat box, and there's quite a few guys that will field those questions while the presentation and the demo is going. Jarno, I can see your screen. You're good to go.
Good stuff. Now, if you think your eyes are playing tricks on you and you're looking at Qlik Sense, that's quite right. You are looking at Qlik Sense. Because what I want to first show you is give you a little bit of context. And what we've done is we've taken one of our demo Qlik Sense apps that we use to showcase the product, and we've actually applied our extract scripts on this model and imported that same data into ThoughtSpot to give you a feel for how does the two different products act on the same data, and of course, more importantly, how does ThoughtSpot add value to your Qlik landscape. So what I'll do is just quickly highlight a couple of things in this Qlik Sense model so that you can get a feel for what it is that we've exported to ThoughtSpot, and also get a couple of pointers in terms of the data that we're looking at, the numbers, to make sure that we're actually pulling the numbers through. So this is a sales analysis example. So we're really looking at what am I selling and who am I selling it to. In this model, we've got a dashboard tab. So on this dashboard, there's three numbers that I want you to try and remember. The one is the sales for last year, which is 237 million. The sales for the prior year, 2018, that's 166 million. And the budget for 274. On this page, we can also slice and dice our data by product group and by region. As I go to my next tab, this is my customers tab, where thank you, where we've got the same metrics as well as the variance metrics, and we can slice and dice this by region, by customer type, group, salesperson, and customer. My next tab here is an item or product tab, if you will. And again, the same metrics are available, and we can slice and dice this by product group, by stock category, as well as item. And then the last one I'd like to highlight in this model is the credit notes tab, where we are analyzing our credit notes by credit note reason, as well as by salesperson. So I'm going to leave the QlikSense front-end part there, but I do want to show you that all we've done to this model is we have created an extra couple of lines of script right at the end, where we run this when the data reloads for this QlikSense model. The export files are created that is then copied to ThoughtSpot and imported. And when I run that, the files look like this. It's a bunch of CSV files. Good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to enter ThoughtSpot. I'm just refreshing this.
Great stuff. It's working perfectly.
Thank you. So the landing area is as you would expect. It's a fully web-based system. It's fully web-enabled as well. It is, of course, role-based. So all the security features that you are used to in a system like Qlik, you can assume for this discussion, those same security features are available there, down to row level and even cell level of data. Now, what ThoughtSpot is all about is this search bar over here, which is not dissimilar from a Google search bar. So we're going to spend most of our time in there. But I'm often asked the question, so I've got this data and I've got this search bar, but how do I know what to search for? And the way that ThoughtSpot solves this problem is the same way that social media solves the same problem. Social media proactively presents me with options of information that it thinks I want to know about. So it's the machine learning, it's artificial intelligence, and it's the whole social media feed experience. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about that, and then I'm going to head into the search. So firstly, at the top of my feed, I've got my favorites. These are obviously searches in terms of answers and pinboards. I'm going to talk about pinboards later, but for now, a pinboard is really a collection of answers that I've searched for before, or someone has searched for before. So I can go and favorite those, and then, of course, they're going to show up in my favorites section. The next one is my following section. I don't have anything following there at the moment, but what I can do is I can go and follow other people's pinboards, and I will firstly get an email from the system when that pinboard is updated on schedule, but I will also be able to follow it in my social media feed. Recently viewed, as you can imagine, those are items, again, searches, answers, if you will, that I have recently looked at. On all of these, you'll see that there's the highest priority ones. That's, again, the machine prioritizing based on what it knows I most likely want to look at. But I can at any point say, load more, and it will show me a longer list of recently viewed. The next one, and this is now where the artificial intelligence is really becoming useful, and this is the recently trending. So this is picking up that other people in the organization, including myself, are looking at certain items, and it's very popular, and therefore it's going to start pushing those to me and say, hey, did you know Archie created a pinboard? It's been viewed 10 times or 10,000 times already. because that's going to give me an indication of a possible issue in my business, and I want to go and look at that. I'm not going to open these now because I'm going to head into pinboards later, but it makes it available to me to go into immediately. Recent team activity has more to do with almost like a change log. So people have this user in my community has created a new pinboard, this guy has changed it, and that type of information. But the really exciting part for me is the did you know. So this is where the Spot IQ engine, which you will hear about quite a bit today, is going through my data while I'm busy doing other things or sleeping at night, and it is coming up with anomalies in my data that is cross-functional and as long as I have access to the data, it will come up with anomalies for me. Again, of course, it's going to learn what is important to me, and it's going to present those insights to me. So in a nutshell, that covers just the landing page and the social media type experience that I'm trying to explain to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and do one or two searches. And the first search or two is just going to show to you that the data that we've got here is the exact same data that we've got in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the search bar, and I'm going to ask for sales for last year. Versus 2018. And this is showing me 237 million for last year and 166 for the year before. And I'll just quickly jump back into Qlik Sense for you, just to make sure we don't have smoke and mirrors happening here. And I have my 237 million and the 166.
Jarno, can I just ask you to pause there for 1 second? I just want to confirm if there's anybody on the WebEx that can't see Jarno's screen, just let us know through the chat. I have confirmed with some of the attendees, and they have said that they can see it, but there's also been a few that let me know that they can't. So I just want to make sure that everyone can see the screen. I can see the screen, so Jarno, please continue.
Well, that's a pity if some people can't see, but I'm hoping the recording will be fine, and we'll definitely send that out to and make that available to everyone after this.
Sure. Thanks very much for letting us know.
Maybe just one more search to show to you. Thank you. And maybe just one more search to show you that the data is the same. I will bring up variance. And I will view that for 2019, and I will break it down by province. The minute I add province into the search, automatically it's going to visualize it over a map for me, because that's what makes the most sense. You will see every time that I perform a search, the system will automatically visualize it in the best possible way. Sometimes it will be a table. Sometimes it will be a graph. And of course, under the graph types, there are many different options. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's not really what this is about. But at any point, I can enter my graph section here, and I can go and change the type of graph that I'm looking at. But the system, 99% of the time, is going to come up with the best way to visualize it for me. So nothing too exciting thus far in terms of search, other than proving to you that ThoughtSpot can produce the same answer as Qlik from the same data set. What is significant, though, is that I can make these answers, these searches, available to all my stakeholders. Obviously, from a licensing point of view, as Archie alluded to earlier, because it's not licensed per user, but also from a usability point of view, as anyone can use Google. Now I'm going to delve a bit deeper into search and hopefully showcase some more exciting things for you. So I'm going to start a new search, and I'm going to ask for revenue this time. Now I'd like to pause there for a minute while the revenue figure comes up, because in the data set that we imported from Qlik, there is nothing called revenue. What there is there's a field called sales value, which we have renamed in the data structure of ThoughtSpot as sales. But what we've also done is we have created a synonym saying that sales can also be called revenue. You could also call it performance, perhaps, anything like that. And the reason we do this is the whole idea behind ThoughtSpot is to allow users to search in their terms, not in database field terms, not in API call terms, not in anything technical, but simply in their business terms. And what makes it even better is that I can load multiple synonyms for the same thing. So if the one department perhaps calls it client and the other one calls it customer, I can load both of those and both can be used. So from revenue, I'm going to go to monthly, and importantly, you can see that monthly is at the top here. That is the machine learning knowing that I've obviously prepared for this demo. So the machine knows that from revenue at this point, I'm going to go into monthly. So that's significant to note as well. So let me select monthly. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first look at what I have, and I can actually see that I've got a peak kind of in the middle of each year around April, and again towards the end around October, September. April again, October, September. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at what's behind this peak in September 2019. So I'm going to right click over there, and I'm going to drill down, and I'm going to say that I would like to see the provinces behind this. Again, province is added, and it's going to visualize it over a map for me. And from the Western Cape province, where I can see the highest contribution was, I want to drill in and view the category. Again, category is at the top, not because of alphabetical sorting, but because of the machine learning. So I'm going to go into category. And now I can see visually that Shiraz is my highest category in there, but the rest of them are not that easy to visualize. So obviously I can click on the bar here and go and sort it, or I can simply say, show me my top 5 contributors. And it's going to automatically do that sorting for me. Now I can go and pin this to a pin board. Now just a little bit on the pin boards once again. A pin board is a way for me to save my answer, either for myself to look at later and or to share those insights with other users. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pin board. I actually created one earlier called Promo 2020. So what I'll do is I'll just add it to that pin board. Because maybe I want to be running a promotion on red wines in the Western Cape in September this year. Hopefully we've got Corona well behind us by then. So I'd like to start another search, and this time I'm going to start with variance. And I'm going to ask the system to break down variance by province. Again, it's going to visualize over a map. And I'm going to ask it to filter to only include data for 2019. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it into table view so that I can sort and see who is my worst performing region. Now, the one at the top is called Other. That's because of its export regions, which is not something I want to look at today. I want to look at the Gauteng region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on Gauteng and drill into an indicator to tell me, is it wines or spirits? So I'm going to look for the spirit and wines field, and it will drill me straight into that. Quite obviously, spirits is my biggest problem. Wines are performing fine. So I'm going to drill into spirits now and ask it for my category. and I can see one category underperforms the other one by a long way. So again, I'm going to right click, drill down, and I'm going to go into item this time. Sorting on my variance again. I can see my Brandy VO 12 by 750 is my worst performing one. Perhaps I want to take my bottom three and I want to go and pin this to my pin board. So what we've done up to now has really been showing you how easy it is to search for and find answers, and how easy it is to drill anywhere, anytime. That's great, but it's still very manual what I've shown you up to now. So now I'm going to give you a taste for how the AI engine can automate and smarten up the search functionality, where it's not only the user that's using the real easy usability and flexibility to go anywhere, anytime, but actually allowing the AI engine to find its own insights for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear our search bar again, and we're going to start a new search. In this case, we're going to ask for sales. I just want to change back to my graph view over here. I don't want the table view now. Well, I'll get a different view when we've got more metrics coming up. And I want to see this by item group. Now I'm going to change it to a graph view. And having changed it to an item group, I want to visualize this monthly. Now, this is a real lot of information that we're looking at here. And what we've done up to now is when we've seen a kind of a high point or outlier, we went in and we drilled down into all the available dimensions that are available, which takes a lot of time, but it also needs a real good understanding of what is the most probable dimensions that will be affecting that high point at that time. Now that poses a skill problem. It also poses a time problem. So what Spot IQ can do is I can throw this entire data set at Spot IQ, and basically what it will do is it will go and perform all available drills behind each of those data points, and it will come back with anomalies for me. But what I'm going to do now, and what I can also do, is I can select a high point, a low point, and ask the system, ask Spot IQ, what are the drivers behind the change? So what I'm going to do here is I can see that for Brandy's in May 2019, I had a performance of 11.5 million. Whereas in December 2019, I only had 300K. Which is obviously a massive, massive change. So what I can do is I'm going to say, I want to highlight the high point over there, and I would like to highlight the low point over there. And I'm then going to ask Spot IQ to analyze the difference. Now, when I enter Spot IQ, it comes up with pre-selected fields for me. Now, these are not all the fields. If I click Show All Columns, you will see that there are many fields not selected here. So how does that work? Spot IQ, through my feedback and users' feedback on similar data, and from statistical sampling of the data, it's figured out what are the most likely fields to give me relevant information when auto-analyzing this. Of course, I can interact with it. I can say show all columns and change the selection. But for the purposes of this exercise, I'm just going to go with the defaults, and I'm going to kick off my analysis. So the analysis will run for nothing more than a couple of seconds. So I'm going to head over to the Spot IQ area. It's actually already done in 5 seconds. So let's have a look what it's found. So what it's telling me by way of summary, it's saying that Spot IQ found 6 insights by analyzing 5.5 million records, and it took just over 4 seconds for that. And what it analyzed was, it analyzed the sales decrease from 11.5 to 0.3 million for the product, for the item group brandies between May 2019 and December 2019. So it's a very, very focused answer, the question that I asked. And what it's coming up with is, firstly, it's telling me that there's 10 references, so these are really transaction numbers, that had the biggest impact, that had a massive impact on my performance. The numbers here are all negative, so these are clearly credit notes. So it's a bunch of credits that were passed. I can see that I have a couple of salespeople that makes up those numbers, and Shane and Walter seems to be the biggest, I don't know if contributor is the right word, but effectors on that. It's also showing me that bottle stores in KwaZulu-Natal was the biggest contributing factor. And it's giving me that same problem item that I found earlier, the brandy VO12 by 750, the one that I found via, it was probably about 6 different drill downs I got to that item. On its own, it found that item is a real problem for me. And then there's some more transaction-related data. Now, the point here is any of these reports I could have done manually. We're not disputing that. What is significant here is that the system, without understanding how these things affect each other, has found these anomalies and is assisting me to get to insights really quick. Lastly, what I want to highlight here is that I've got this thumbs up and thumbs down section. So earlier when I started Spot IQ, I was explaining that the system is showing me the most relevant fields that it knows I'm going to be interested in. Part of its learning is this section here, where the thumbs up is giving it the pat on the back saying, yes, I like this, give me more of that next time. And the thumbs down, of course, is saying, I'm not interested in this, don't waste my time with this again. Of course, any of these items I can go and interact with, drill down, etc. I can go and pin them on my pin board and so forth. I'm going to do another one of these. I'm just scrolling to my notes here, if you don't mind. So what I want to get into now is a little bit of credit note analysis as well, which I did when we spoke. I showed you the Qlik Sense model. There was some credit note information in there. So I'm going to start my analysis and ask for credit reasons. You can also see that whether I lead with credit or I lead with reason, it's finding that in my data very quickly and make it real easy for me to find the right data. So it's now going to just list the credit reasons for me. There's 19 of them because, of course, I haven't given it any measure yet. My measure is going to be sales. System knew that already, of course. And because in my data set, I don't have a different field for sales versus credit sales, all of it is sales, my sales and my credits are going to be negative. What I also know is that my credit reason on sales are actually empty. So I'm going to right click and exclude empty from this answer, which is now going to give me my true credits. Again, if I split this into monthly, it's going to visualize this over monthly for me. And quite quickly and real easily, I can see that my biggest credit problem has to do with deals not on invoice. And it seems to peak every couple of months, but in June 2019, I had a real big issue there. So again, I'm going to ask Spot IQ to analyze for me what happened in that area. I've already covered these fields. We're not going to talk about that again. I'm just going to go straight on and say analyze. Going into the Spot IQ area, that analysis is done. And again, firstly, it's giving me a summary saying it's found 9 insights, analyzing 6.2 million rows, and it took just over 2 seconds. I don't think I've really mentioned this before, but as you can see, this system is built for immense scale and scalability and speed. So the amount of time it takes to go through these rows of data is truly amazing. So what it's done is it's basically said that it found 5 insights on it for a train key, which basically means on the transaction level. It's saying that there's one massive credit, and the reference is the customer reference for that credit. Who's the customer for that? What item was it for? And who's the salesperson? So on a transaction level, it found those outliers. What it's also done is it summarized and said that for the Sauvignon Blanc category, the biggest credits was passed. Most of it was passed in the Eastern Cape out of that specific warehouse, and for item group Cathedral Salad. Again, these reports quite easily could have been created manually. But as we always say, until you've created the exception report once, you wouldn't know to go and create it the first time. And this is what makes the system so special, that it's coming up with these anomalies on its own. So, just restarting my search. Another way that Spot IQ contributes is for every search that I'm doing, I want to go volume and I want to go category. As I'm doing each and every search of mine, when I scroll down a little bit, the Spot IQ engine is automatically coming up with insights pertaining to the search that I'm busy with. So I'm searching for volume. The system knows that volume goes with quantity. So it's giving me all kinds of anomalies around quantity, quantity by category, by item, more by item. So it's picking up anomalies without me even invoking the engine to say, you know, go and delve deeper into this or that or the other. And what I would like to do now is to show you the natural language processing part of it, which really means I can talk to the system in plain, simple language, and it's going to give me the answers I need. So if you could just allow me to enable that for a second. So I'm going to enable the mic now, and then I'm going to talk to it. Which products performed the best in Gauteng for 2019? I'd say that worked. So quite simply, what the system did was it interpreted the natural language, it converted that into a ThoughtSpot query, and it executed that against the data. Just something maybe to highlight at the top here. This is showing how it interpreted what I said. It knew that which is not useful for computers. It knows that item and products go together. The interesting one here is that I taught this when I did the first search, when we loaded this data set. When I asked for performed, it wasn't quite sure what that meant. So I went in here and I said teach, and I told it that when I say perform or performed, I'm talking about sales. And the rest of it is quite simple. It knows that best is sorting by sales. Gauteng is a province, and of course 2019 is part of my date. The last thing I want to cover is quickly go to pin boards. I talked about pin boards quite a bit as we went through. So just quickly, pin boards are a set of saved answers that either myself created or other people created it, and we can share it with one another. Let me go and open up the pin board we've been working on, and I can do a couple of things with this pin board now. Number one, I can run a Spot IQ analysis against my pin board. So again, take a targeted data set, push it through the engine and see what comes up. I can go and follow this. when I do, it'll show up in my follow section. But I will also on a schedule get an email from the system saying these are the results for this pin board every Monday morning, 8 o'clock, whatever the case is. I can share this pin board with other users or user groups. But probably one of the main things I will be doing with this is I will present it, similar to a PowerPoint or in the Qlik sense world, a story. And the pin board is now nice and presentable. I can change the way things look and change names and things like that. I can of course interact with it as per normal. And then lastly, I can also download this as a PDF. Good. So I'm gonna leave this there. I hope that was informative. Thank you for listening to me. I'm going to open the floor for more questions if there are. And yes, thank you for listening.
Great stuff, Jarno. Thanks very much. Guys, as Jarno has said, please type your questions into the chat section. We'll hang around for a couple of minutes more, and then we can handle your questions that way. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can reach out to me on email. I'm sure you guys have my email address from the invites. If not, ask me for it and I'll give it to you. Yeah. So thanks very much for joining, everybody. We really appreciate your time, and I hope that was insightful. If there's no questions at this time, then oh, there we go.
How can we config Qlik with ThoughtSpot? So the idea would be that we leave the Qlik process as is. And remember, I'm answering this question now in the context of you want to expose your Qlik data within ThoughtSpot. It is of course possible to expose other data as well, but specifically around how do I get my Qlik data into ThoughtSpot, we can really just have the Qlik ETL processes either early on in the process, maybe in the raw layer or the functional layer, or simply at the end, at the front end models. We can actually have Qlik pass on the data to ThoughtSpot with a simple export script, and ThoughtSpot can then automate the importing of that data. I hope that answers the question. Yes, you can schedule.
I see we're getting a couple of questions around how does the cost and the licensing work. We've decided that we're not going to delve into too much detail on this WebEx around the actual costs and all of that. I can just say that it is a groundbreaking way of costing in terms of it's not a per user license model. It's actually around the size of your data. So if you guys have specific answers or questions around costs, please just put something in the Q&A or reach out to me on email, and I can very quickly explain the costing to you. It's not a massively complicated model, but I would prefer to do that one-on-one. I think we'll give it another minute or so for more questions, and then we'll end it for today. Thank you very much.
Archie, so I'm assuming that everyone on this call will have access to your email address so they can post one-on-one questions and so forth. I don't know if you want to just post it in the chat there, or,
Sure.
or I suppose, yeah, whichever way works best.
I'll post it on the chat, and I'll also reach out to everyone, after the WebEx, and just send a thank you mail, and in that way you're welcome to just reply to that mail, and we can set up one-on-one sessions.
I see Ronald on the call from Amsterdam. Nice to see you, Ronald. I think the last time we saw each other was in Dallas. Nancy, yes, that's quite right. The data is exported from Qlik to CSV and then loaded into ThoughtSpot. That is not the only way the data can find its way from your source systems into ThoughtSpot, but for the purpose of today's discussion, that's exactly how we're doing it, and it's quite a seamless way. The thinking being, the data you have in Qlik is already it should already be clean, it should already be tested, it should already be trusted by your organization. So to take it from there straight into ThoughtSpot means it's a very, very quick time to market. It can be used straight away. As I said, there are other ways as well. We can handle those maybe offline.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody. There we go. Another question, Jan.
I'm just reading Nancy's question here. And do you have the will to integrate ThoughtSpot into Qlik, such as an extension or something for the business? So that's a good question. That's a good question, Nancy. So there are some tools. Both Qlik and ThoughtSpot is very open in terms of API. So it's not difficult to actually create a mashup where Qlik and ThoughtSpot lives in the same screen. There's also a already off-the-shelf package that we also take to market called Thea. It's guys in the UK that's written this tool, where you can actually plug in multiple BI tools into one, let's call it portal type experience. Obviously Qlik and ThoughtSpot yet today, but you can even plug in any of the other big names that you know into one screen.
Again, if you guys need info on that, just reach out to me, and I can make sure that you guys get detailed information on that. Great stuff. Jarno, if you're comfortable, I think we're gonna end it here, and then that's it. Thanks very much, everybody.
100%. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Archie. I'll speak to you later.
Great. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.